And right now we are 2 minutes away from the end of the trading day. Romaine Bostick here with Katie Greifeld, taking you through to that closing bell. It's a global simulcast. Carol Massar and Tim Stenovec join us now. Welcome to our audiences across all of our Bloomberg platforms, television, radio, our partnership with YouTube to parse the most crucial moments of the day. And another wild day it was. Carol Massar.
Man, it was wild, right? And we're looking at a market trade that, we're still down across the board, but we're seeing some buying here into the close. So definitely off some of our worst levels of the trade here.
In the S&P 500 today, the worst level was 1.44%. Now we're down to only about 0.6%. So kind of a similar story that we saw a couple days ago, where the lows happened earlier in the session, and we recovered from those lows. The question is, what shifted for investors? What are they looking at differently?
Yeah, not clear what is driving the bounce back, other than maybe the fact we're just getting closer to the close. But it was interesting to see that big drawdown earlier in the day on this Bloomberg News headline that the U.S. is considering requiring permits for global AI chip sales here. Basically, the U.S. would then be the gatekeeper, and that certainly took a chunk out of the likes of NVIDIA, out of the likes of AMD, and you're seeing that still when it comes to the stocks.
And now NVIDIA's higher, though.
Yeah, one thing that was interesting, too, when we look at the index level, too, that's different. It was, and Dan Curtis pointed this out, that the idea that the last few days, we still, wherever we open, we still manage to close above that, even if the day was down. Today, it looks like it's going to be different, where we are actually going to close below where we opened here. So it gives you some idea here as to the idea of momentum and whether that momentum is still, despite the dip buying that we saw here into the closing bell, still potentially to the downside. Let's walk you through the numbers here on this Thursday afternoon. The S&P 500 down roughly about 39 to 40 points. It takes a while for these numbers to settle, but it's still going to be a drop of about 0.6%. The Dow losing almost 800 points, or about 1.6%. The NASDAQ composite down about 60 points, or 0.25%. And the Russell 2000, that's one of your biggest laggards here on the day, losing about 50 points, or 1.9%.
All right, just digging inside the S&P 500. Even so, we are no surprise to see most names, Katie, in the S&P 500 lower for the Thursday trade. 365 names to the downside, 137 gaining ground today, and you've got one unchanged.
Similar breakdown when you take a look at the sector level. 3 sectors finishing in the green, 8 in the red. In terms of what did well today, you can see tech up there performing higher by about 0.4%. Energy was your winner on the day, higher by about 0.6%, even with this Bloomberg News article that the administration is basically eyeing all options to cut oil prices. Meanwhile, all options,
okay,
including maybe action when it comes to oil futures. No, all of them. Okay. They're all on the table. All right. Consumer staples down about 2.4%, Carol.
All options? You mean maybe they'll pay when I fill up at the top?
It's theoretically on the table.
That would be inflationary, I feel like.
Would it be inflationary?
Yeah, if they paid for your gas. Absolutely.
Maybe we'll find out.
Let's get to some of the individual gainers.
Carol doesn't drive, does he?
I love to drive. Who doesn't love to drive?
The open
safely?
road.
Yes, safely.
Okay.
Oh, my goodness. All right, let's get to some of the individual gainers. This was the number 1 gainer in the NASDAQ 100, number 3 gainer in the S&P 500. I'm ignoring you. Booking Holdings, a gain of about 8.5%. Mizuho. I know, I always... All right.
Ignore him.
Jeez, you're killing me. Mizuho. Moving the firm's top pick in internet to Booking Holdings away from Airbnb on the expectation of a major relief rally, and this coming after the information reported that OpenAI is pulling back from native ChatGPT checkout, pivoting instead to app-based purchases. So the firm believes that ChatGPT's reported pivot away from on-platform shopping checkout, if true, could spell the beginning of the end of major disruption fears for internet marketplace businesses, including online travel agents and others. So they're liking this one in a big way. So investors moving into that. I think you saw investors move into Expedia as well. Let's go to Broadcom. It is top in the NASDAQ 100, up about 4.8%. We did see the stock bouncing around last night after it reported its latest quarterly update. It did settle in today higher after the company posted first quarter results that beat expectations on key metrics, gave a positive revenue outlook. The CEO, Hock Tan, saying the company expects its AI chip sales to top $100 billion next year, and that they've got the supply chain to do it. Super important, marking major inroads into territory dominated by NVIDIA. We know where they're trying to go after it. And then here's for something different. I'm hoping you're going to find this entertaining, Romaine. We are seeing Sable Offshore.
Why would that be entertaining? I'm very familiar with this story. Let me see where you're going with this.
Oh, okay. Well,
All
see,
right.
you know everything. The stock up about 37%. It's a $1.8 billion market cap oil and gas exploration company, jumping today, extending a recent rally to a fifth straight session that has pushed the stock up about 60% in the past 5 days. This amid news earlier this week that the Trump administration will seek to invoke an act to allow the company's Santa Ynez pipeline unit to restart energy production. Keep in mind, 27% of the float is short.
Yeah.
So tell me more. Is there more that you want to add to it?
No, I thought you were going to say something funny or interesting. But,
Yeah. That never happens. You know, that's what my brothers always say. They're a tough crowd, too.
All right,
Jim,
let's
take
go
it
to
away.
some of the decliners on the
I have
day
to meet
today.
these brothers. They sound cool.
They are a lot of fun.
I'm looking at what happened to ADRs of Roche today, down 6.3%. Midday, we saw shares take a dive. This after we got results of Roche Holding and Zealand Pharma's experimental obesity shot. It helped patients lose as much as 10.7% in a study with side effects comparable to that of a placebo. The reason why shares fell is because investors compared that to a similar drug from Eli Lilly that delivered as much as 20% weight loss. So that result underwhelming to investors. StubHub Holdings not having a very good day. The ticket reseller shares fell by 12.4% today. This after the company's 2026 forecast and fourth quarter results came in below Wall Street estimates. Analysts pointed to challenges for comps because there's not a Taylor Swift tour to boost sales. That is the power.
She has to take a break
That's
every
the
once
power
in a
of Taylor
while.
Swift, I guess.
Blame
She's got to
Taylor
get
Swift for
married,
this.
maybe
Yeah.
start a family.
A couple firms also downgraded the stock. Shares fell 12.4%.
Were there no other tours?
I mean, it's Taylor, you know.
Oh,
She
She's
drives
busy.
it around the world.
Yeah.
Do a loop.
Bad Bunny,
He's
a big
popular.
one. Yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah.
I'm also watching shares of UPS, United Parcel Service. They were
yeah,
on
this is
track.
interesting, yeah.
Did you see this? They were on
Yeah.
track to actually close at a market value that would fall below FedEx for the first time ever, reflecting investors' lingering anxiety around UPS's long-term growth trajectory. There was a little uptick at the end of the day. FedEx is at $87 billion in market cap. UPS still above it at $88.35 billion. So that day, Romaine, will have to wait.
All right, let's get you some earnings. Marvell Technology, the semiconductor maker, out with its results here, 80 cents a share. That is the bottom line number, a beat of about a penny. Revenue in the most recent quarter, $2.22 billion, basically on the nose of what the street was looking for. Not seeing a revenue forecast jump out at me, but adjusted gross margins also coming in line with estimates at about 59%. But you see the knee-jerk reaction there of up about 6%. We'll try to dive a little bit deeper to find out exactly why. And let's take a quick check of yields as well. We're actually up for a fourth straight day on benchmark 10-year yields. It's something that, of course, hasn't actually happened since early December of last year. A repricing out here of Fed expectations. You see that also reflected in your two-year yield higher by about 3 basis points.
Hey, quick commentary on Marvell in the press release.
Yeah.
Company's chairman and CEO, Matt Murphy, he says, we expect year-over-year revenue growth to accelerate each quarter in fiscal 2027, driven by continued strength in our data center business, with bookings continuing to grow at a record pace. So maybe investors certainly excited about that. Hey, what I'm excited about is that thank you, United. So they basically have updated their
What?
policy. Just listen.
Okay.
This is the whole point. Listen. They're going to require passengers
very quiet.
to use headphones for audio or video. I don't even know why we have to tell people
Oh, I know why
to
we
do
do.
this.
I know
Have you
why
been on a
we-
plane
And
lately?
if you don't
Or the
do
subway?
it, they can remove you from the flight and possibly do a permanent ban. Read the fine print, folks. And if we could just do that on subways
I was
here in New
just
York
gonna
say
City,
that.
please.
Carol's fired up here.
Because
Who hurt
it's-
you, Carol?
No, it's like, be considerate.
Yeah.
Huh.
I do
Sorry.
want to know, I mean, how many repeat offenses do you have to be permanently banned from the airline? That is my big question reading this story
Who's
here.
going to remove them, though? Are we putting this on the flight attendants again? I'm starting
already
to feel
dealing
sorry
with a
for them.
lot,
Yeah, they're
yeah.
already dealing with all kind of unruly stuff.
Yeah.
So, but Carol, you seem very...
I'm happy for you, Carol.
Listen, I love people. I love the sharing concept, but sometimes I don't really want it on my
I don't
ride
want to
home.
share
No,
audio.
I don't want to share audio either.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear what you're listening to. I know you think it's dope, but I don't. So,
I have no comment.